Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum. Straight talk about you and your money. Now from the BizTalk studios, here is Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's Monday, July 15th, 2024. Hope you had a good weekend. As you know, this is a show about what used to be 100% of the time the markets. And then slowly and then quickly, we recognize that Washington was taking over in so many ways. And we were right. We started talking about it 15 years ago. And since, you know what's happened with our debt and deficits and everything else we have been seeing. I'd like to discuss with you or talk to you about what I think about what happened on the weekend. As you know, I am in nobody's camp. I do not, you know that by now. I have taken fire on all ends, and that's okay. But we do have certain thought process about how one side is treated versus the other. And as you know, there was an attempted assassination on President Trump. You still call them presidents, ex-presidents. And everybody's out trying to come up with motives. Here's the motive. The prick was a murderer. That's all. I could care less about the rest. Everybody else is trying to win political points. We're not. But I do want to bring up some things that we have been telling you for quite a while, and under no uncertain terms. President Trump has been brandished as Hitler for a very long time. I've had people come up to me and say he was Hitler. And I would come back and say, Hitler murdered 12 million people, 6 million Jews. How many Trump? Well, he's going to. Whatever. People go on TV on all these shows and call him Hitler. And I'm not even talking opinion people. They've been ripping him to shreds since day one. And what you all need to know is that it's not just Trump. They did it to Reagan. They did it to both Bushes. They did it to Bob Dole. They did it to Romney. They shredded Romney, the sweet guy. They went after Palin. They go after anyone is on the wrong side, according to them. Well, I don't know this guy's reasoning. And of course, there's many on the right that are blaming the media. Let me just state for the record, they are the stokers of so much. There's been, by the way, have you noticed any protests from the right today about somebody trying to, oh, no, you haven't. The violence comes from one side, not the, and I say that January 6th, that is the one time, and as you know, I took to task. But I just want to make sure you know it didn't start with Trump. You remember Palin? What they did to her? A woman? They didn't care about women then. They did everything possible to destroy her. One time she put on a map and there was a target on it. They ripped her to shreds. Last week, President Biden said when they put a bullseye on Trump. Do you think the media even flinched? Nope. So we're just letting you know, well, you know what I think of them. I have pulled absolutely no punches on them, and they are vicious. They are constantly on the attack. They will make stuff up. They will black things out. And I just had to start with that, unfortunately, because even yesterday, right after a man, ex-president, was shot, where another man was murdered, they were out pulling their bullcrap. And they're exhausting. They're exhausting. They wouldn't describe it as an assassination. One of them described the falling down. I can go on and on. And then a couple of them on TV were mad when he stood up and did the fight. Really, I was just shot, I almost died, and you're mad at me. Amazing, huh? I start with that. The next thing, and I can't even read it again. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Corey Comparatore died shielding his family from the bullets. His daughter put a post out, and I must tell you, I was in tears reading the post. I was in absolute tears reading it. Amazingly, there was a GoFundMe that amazingly $5 million already collected for not only this family but others that were hit by the bullets. Which takes me to the other part. I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe JFK was more than one person. And why I believe that is I got a video. I've got a video. They're trying to tell us that Zapruder film was never supposed to be had. They didn't know it was out there. JFK was murdered by more than one person. I'm 100% sure. And they're trying to tell us when a man's head goes from front to back, oh, it's a bullet coming from back to front. Yeah, they're trying to tell us that. And the list goes on and on of so much. Complete cover-up. But I don't believe in conspiracy theories unless it's 1 + 1 = 2. Jeffrey Epstein, who could bury many elite, wealthy politician celebrities, just so happens is in a cell and the cameras are off and the guards leave. Just so happens. And then kills himself. While the #1 coroner, Michael Baden, says everything I saw was murder. And they're ignored. Gotta wonder. Here's what I wonder. And as Mr. Logic, it's very logical what I wonder. The #1 rule of security is look up. Look up. Because bad people want to look down. And right there in plain sight was just a couple of buildings. Really? How did he get into the building? How did he get on the roof? When he got on the roof, people were yelling and screaming, there's a guy on the roof with a gun. And nothing. Zero. Nothing. Until shots finally rang out, and it just so happens they blew his head off. I am not a conspiracy theorist. How does one with a shred of logic not ask those simple questions and go, Oh, they're telling us, don't worry, we're going to investigate. Feel better now? Think about that. He got on the roof in daylight. Got through the building. I'll put a bow tie on it. Then we'll do markets. Unfortunately, and more. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Hi, I'm Gary Kaltbaum, host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we'll carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you to where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call is 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. Investment advisory services offered through Kaltbaum Capital Management.
It's time to switch on the integrator units and get the brain cells working.
You're listening to
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Investor's Edge
The last bastion of quality programming.
with Gary Kaltbaum.
It doesn't get better than this.
Welcome once again to Investor's Edge. My first cousin was with the FBI. I had a conversation with him. Basically, quote unquote, dude, something ain't right. I hope we find out. I don't know what the deal is. We hope there's no something there. But this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. You had 2 buildings to cover. 2 buildings. And it wasn't. And this little 20-year-old prick was able to get up there with nobody touching him and was able to crawl on top of it with people yelling and screaming. Next. Tic-tac-toe. As you know, we have said there are certain people, certain things you don't even debate, talk to, try to convince. Tic-tac-toe, you can never win, so why play the game? You know, gays for Hamas, gays for Palestine that would be murdered immediately in the most vile ways if they walk through Palestine or through Hamas and those lovely people. Tic-tac-toe. Anybody who says, I'm for Hamas, terrorists that murdered, raped, threw babies in oven, you know what they did. Tic-tac-toe. Well, you never know how many, but there are people that are on social media saying, darn it, you missed. How effing possible can you miss when you have a rifle and you're that tic-tac-toe? That's the best way I can put it. Tic-tac-toe. And I would like to think there's not many of these people, but there were a decent amount. Interesting enough, I guess they didn't recognize that they were going to be posted and sent to wherever they worked, because amazingly, at least some of them showed their face. A bunch of them have already been fired by whoever they work for. But tic-tac-toe. You know, Jack Black is an actor. He's also a musician. One of his band members said, "Oh, it was a happy birthday. What's your wish?" He says, "Don't miss Trump the next time. Tic-tac-toe." What can I tell you? There's some very weird people out there that believe, that want people to die. I'm just posting a little bit. Anyway, I gather there's going to be a lot of investigations. We're very happy that the president is alive. I would suggest, as we move towards the election, the Trump picked J.D. Vance of Ohio as his vice president. In case you do not know, J.D. Vance was a never-Trumper, as they call him. J.D. Vance ripped the stuffings out of Trump for many a moon, and whatever happened, and J.D. Vance now loves him. And I will tell you, I've watched J.D. Vance on TV. He's a big defender of Trump and whatever policies Trump has. We'll see how that goes. They're in the Republican National Convention up till Thursday. I will tell you that President Trump has changed his speech completely and is going to try to unite economic policies, except for the debt and deficits. I'm with Trump, totally against Biden. If Trump can become presidential, I'd be real happy. I noticed a bunch of people on the left who were calling Trump Hitler for ages now want to unite. Great. We'll throw him a party. We'll see how this plays out. We should not be in this position. As I've stated on this show, it really is we the people, and unfortunately they've become much more important than they should. We should be running the country, not the politicians. They're supposed to be working for us. We're not supposed to be working for them. That's how we have got here. That they have to be the end-all, be-all. They are the end-all, be-all. Without them, what are we going to be? Well, this weekend was exhausting on that front. We'll keep you abreast of the situation as we move forward. We hope there will be no more violence. President Biden came out and stated that, did not say anything about what he said recently, that Trump's a rapist and the bullseye and all kinds of other crap. What do they say in Missouri? The show me state. We'll see the show me. And by the way, that's for all parties going forward. The chalk now is that President Trump is even more ahead, that picture of him with his fist up is now an iconic political picture. The Trump people are out now stating that this is what we mean by strength. We'll see. I still believe the election is going to be very, very close, and there's still plenty of time to get there. May the best man win, and whoever wins, let's hope they do a very good job and do the right thing and work for us, not work for them. May this man who passed away rest in peace. I'm sick over that when you hear that he threw his family down on the ground and covered them up, gave his life for their lives. gave his life for their lives. Gave his life for his family's lives. If you have a chance, read what the daughter said. Just have some tissues. It was one of those. Anyway, we just wanted to cover it. There's enough to go around. Hopefully things get better. Up next, we'll do the markets.
Listening to
America is talking.
Investor's Edge.
He's got to be pleased with that. The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
With Gary Kaltbaum.
Comes highly recommended. You're going to feel better if you talk to him.
All right. Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Somber. I guess that's the best word I can come up with, is somber. We segued to the markets. Let me just state for the record, weird day when all is said and done. The NASDAQ today, early was 18,641, was up 250, and not making this up, at 354 was down on the day. So up 250 to be down. In 5 minutes, went up 74 points. So they jammed it into the close, but still it was up 250 and finished only up 74. Just letting you know. The Dow up 210. The Dow at one time today, 4,333, was up about 350. S&P finished up 15. The small and mid caps had another good day, but came down towards the end of the day. They probably need to settle down. The best way I can put it, on Thursday, the broad market woke up. That's the best way I can put it. For weeks and months, we were on this show highlighting for you, man, those 7 stocks are now 48% of the NASDAQ 100. Those 7 stocks are now 33% of the S&P, which is insane. And that most of the money's going there, and other names, of course, not everything. And the small caps were down on the year going into last week. They were down on the year. While the mega caps were insane. Those are the places we housed a lot of our money. And then the economically sensitive areas also, where we nothing to do. On Thursday, there was an inflation number that came out. They gapped things up. Thursday, Friday, and today, strength. And what do we mean by these areas? Well, in case you don't know, and you need to know this, the Russell 2000 is laden with a lot of regional banks. The regional banks ETF, the KRE, went from, in 3 days, 49 to 53.60. Almost 9% without getting out my rusty abacus. It's a big move. And that brings a lot of names to new yearly highs. So the new yearly high list really picked up. But when I look at it, there are things like, First Bank of Puerto Rico. Nothing against Puerto Rico, but the First Bank of Puerto Rico. Fifth Third Bancorp. M&T Bank. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there are names that don't even trade. They trade 5,000 shares a day, new yearly highs. But the Russell 2000, nice move. Broke out at 212, 217 at the close today. The 212 breakout was Thursday at the close. From Friday's gap to today's gap, 212 to 217. Call it whatever it is, 2 and change. The mid caps also. And when we say economically sensitive, well, what is our two favorite names? Caterpillar, that's number one. Caterpillar, boom, jumped right above the 50-day moving average today. Not in a bull market, but definite good recovery. United Rentals, my other one. United Rentals, going into Thursday, was trading below the 50-day, 6 months of no gains, nothing going on, not buried or anything, but it went from 730 down to 640. Well, at the close Wednesday was 645. It's 707 already. In 3 days of movement in economically sensitive, which puts it still range bound, but better. And we'll see if they decide to take them out of these ranges. That's the best way I can put it in a nutshell. Oils. Now, I happen to think, though, oils today very strong. The oil stocks, even though oil prices were down, I think that was the Trump trade today. In case you don't know, the odds of Trump winning, sorry, I'm reporting the news, on the attempted assassination and his reaction has him odds going up better to win. And I think that what it did today was two things. The solars crashed, oils went up big. Why would that be? Because the thought process is Trump is more friendly to oil and less friendly to the green movement, solars. So I'd be careful about buying the oils on that jump. As far as the solars, they've just been bearish for a long time anyhow, except for one move in First Solar that went vertical that's been trashed already. So a little bit of the Trump trade today. Donald Trump stock, DJT, finished up $9.70 to $40.58 today, up 31%. Actually hit a high of 46 today before falling back. You know what we think of valuation there, but definitely that Trump trade. What else? What other areas will we complain about? Well, the transports. That's economically sensitive. Well, going into Wednesday, the transports were just dead. Comatose. Going into Thursday. They've gone from 15,000 to 15,781. Last I looked, that's about 5 and change in 3 days. Rails and truckers, we've been telling you, avoid. Well, very strong 3 days in the rails and truckers. Not in bull markets, and I must tell you, still way down, but part of this rally we've seen. And when I say that, Norfolk Southern went from 264 down to 206, it's back to 227. That's what we mean. And by the way, that's in like 3 days back up there. So definitely little changing of the scenery. Don't know how long it lasts. Don't know how far it goes. A wicked close today where the NASDAQ was up 250 and was down with 5 minutes to go, and somebody said, screw this. And by the way, that's a button pusher. Just letting you know. You know how they say algorithms are only the downside? No, they're also on the upside. And we'll see what tomorrow brings. Earnings front, Goldman Sachs report was up 12 on the day. That's Goldman Sachs. And by the way, it was up 12 early, then down 2 and finished back up 12. BlackRock ended up, am I correct in saying, down 5 on the day? Not a great reaction. And in case you don't know, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of more earnings reports to come out in the weeks ahead. Stay tuned. I can tell you, this week, J.B. Hunt, Schwab, Johnson & Johnson, Northern Trust, U.S. Bancorp, Discovery Financial, ASML Holding, a very important semiconductor that reversed to the downside today, UAL, Las Vegas Sands, D.R. Horton, Domino's Pizza, Novartis, bunch of the banks, Netflix, Intuitive Surgical, Blackstone, Crocs, in the Dow, American Express, Travelers. You get the hint. What was weak today? They smacked in the teeth today. Retail. And I still believe we got some relative weakness going on in the big cap tech, except Apple, but by the way, which we have, up 4 today, and a bunch of semis. I still feel like they got some issues in here. And I got to tell you, at 355, I was like, whoa. And then they jammed them into the close. Again, tomorrow will be another day. Up next, what else do I got for you on this day? This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
You're listening to...
What are we waiting for?
Well, what are you waiting for?
1, 2, ready, go.
Action!
Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. And before you email me on hypocrisy, you got this guy, Benny Thompson, who headed up, I think, maybe the January 6th committee. He wanted Trump to lose all his Secret Service. Just so you know, he put in a law, tried to put a law through to Trump lose his Secret Service. Now he says he's happy Trump's alive and not injured. And okay. You think that would be hypocrisy? That's exactly, in a nutshell, what we mean. The Denver Post, we're not making this up. We're not making this up. Denver Post's original headline, big bold black letters. Gunman dies in attack. Small red letters just above that, Trump says he was shot in ear. This is your media that's supposed to care about their readers with unbiased. Think about that. The Denver Post, gunman dies in attack. And I can go on and on and on. But you need to know this has been going on and on and on forever. They hate one side. They really hate Trump because Trump gave them the middle finger. Others said the biggest complaint of George Bush II from his advisors, they're killing you, fight back. And he would always say there's no reason to. They call, you get my point. We'll keep covering that as we get into an election because they don't care about you. They are trying to drive an agenda. They were out today with it again to a certain extent. That's the way the cookie crumbles. And remember, we're in nobody's camp. We just want good policy and presidentialness. That's all we care about. And then get out of our way. You give me somebody that just gives us great policy on the economy and get out of our way, I'm a happy guy. And balance budgets, which should be easy now. Just do not raise spending. Actually, cut spending year over year 5%, and you can leave it there, even though it's still a ridiculous amount. The economy will come up and pay for it, and just leave it there. We'll get back to the market. So again, when you have a chance, go scan IWM, MDY, and see them. MDY is just about new highs. IWM broke out. Pullbacks would be great right in here. The finish today was very weird for the NASDAQ. I'm still a little bit iffy on what's going on with some of the big. And by the way, they ramped some of the biggies into the close today. To make that move. I was noticing Amazon was getting in trouble, and they ramped Amazon, a mega cap, a whole point, $1 in 4 minutes. To give you an example, gold probably rests a little bit in here. Back up near the highs, a breakout would be good. Crypto very strong over the weekend. Crypto has been very, very weak, and in one fell swoop, a big gap to the upside. Still under the 50-day moving average, but we'll pay a little more attention here. We didn't have to pay attention to it until today, and we'll see what comes of it. Bunch of semis acting a little bit iffy in here, not 100% sure. I'm a little bit more agnostic. The finish today, though, in the big cap tech, we'll see if that means anything for tomorrow, because they have their way of moving that sucker around. Earnings. FedEx gaps up recently, about 2 weeks ago, on crappy numbers. 1% revenue growth. This is what we're going to be watching for. Not what somebody says. We'll look at the numbers. We're going to look at reactions. The market is pretty good at flushing things out. Not all the time. Not all the time. But if we start to get not so great numbers, yet things are gapping up, or things are acting well, it's something we'll be thinking about. And then there's the other side. Worst scenario is the stocks gapping down. A worsening outlook, but more importantly, a bad reaction to the worsening outlooks. We have just started. As I've said, there are going to be thousands. And what we're going to do on the radio show, as we always do, is there's tons of earnings before the market and then after. And as we go through the radio show, earnings will be coming out. We'll be reporting to you not only what is going on, but where things are at. What do we mean? If a stock's been trading between 100 and 110 for 6 months and gaps up to 125, that's a breakaway gap, usually very bullish. So stay tuned. We will be on top of it as best as we can. It's a tougher, let me just put it best. We got a lot more work to do during earnings season. We're up a little bit later, and we're up a little bit earlier, going through the reactions, going through the numbers, getting a good feel for what's going on. The good news is, got a pretty strong last week. It started Thursday. We're just 3 days into it. If it's of meaning, It'll go for a while. That all said, have a great evening. I finally saw my grandson. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. I appreciate your time. Good night, all. Serenity now. Bye-bye.
This has been Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum on BizTalk. To listen to past episodes or to get in contact with Gary, go to GaryK.com. That's GaryK.com.